Hey, it's Alan, and I just wanted to let you know that you can now listen to the ongoing history of new music early and ad-free on Amazon Music, included with Prime.
Hang on. No, this. No, we're not. Here. Here we go. Okay, I got it. Okay. Oh, wait, we're on? Couldn't you wait till I was finished cleaning up? Okay. Let me just put this over here. And yeah, I'll get to that. Okay, I'm ready. No, wait, I have to move these. I'll leave those bankers boxes out of the way for now. Okay, here. Hello there. I'm Alan Cross, and you seem to have caught me in the middle of my end of year cleanup. I do research for ongoing history programs pretty much 24/7, looking for stuff to talk about, trying to figure out what topics need to be covered, and all that stuff. And let me tell you something. I accumulate a lot of material. Here's a big stack of newspaper clippings. This is a stack of magazines that I have turned down pages where I found something interesting. There were dozens and dozens of books that contained cool nuggets of information, and that's what the whomp was. What else? More dog-eared pages and highlighted passages. Here are some notebooks with some scribbles. And over here, you can see all the Post-it notes that have something written on them. And please don't get me started on all the web pages that I've bookmarked and all the documents and the research files on my computer. Actually, computers. I don't come close to using all this information in any ongoing history project. I mean, the shows are 50 minutes long. The podcasts have a certain length. And there's just, I'm limited. But I just can't seem to stop hoarding material. I keep thinking, well, I don't need this now. But what if I do in the future and I can't find that little nugget of information again? Look, here's an example of what I'm talking about. In early 2024, I ran across a recording of the loudest burp ever recorded. Well, let me amend that. The loudest burp by a female ever recorded. Her name is Kimberly Winter. And, just let me show you. This is 107.3 decibels. She has a TikTok account where she burps the names of her fans. Now that has nothing to do with music yet. I mean, it is audio, so that might be a connection. But you never know when you are going to need audio like this. Okay, that's quite enough. Thank you, Kimberly. What I'm trying to say is that it's once again time to clean up the office with my annual massive data dump of information that I've collected over the last 12 months, but have found no use for any of this stuff at all. However, I can't throw it out. I'm an information hoarder. Maybe you'll have better luck with this stuff. So here we go. The 2024 edition of 60 mind-blowing facts about music in 60 minutes.
This is the Ongoing History of New Music podcast with Alan Cross.
Okay, I hope you're ready because a lot of information, some of it important, some of it useless, is about to come your way in a very rapid-fire fashion. If you're hearing this as part of the Ongoing History show on the radio, you might want to record this. Better yet, get the podcast of this program. That way you can browse through everything at your leisure. Again, this is material that I've collected over the last 12 months while I was looking for ongoing history ideas and doing ongoing history research. Some of this info just doesn't fit with the mandate of the program or the podcast. Some of it is orphaned from programs that never quite took shape. And some of these items were just too weird to gloss over, so I made a note to do, something with it at some point. What you do with what you're about to hear is completely up to you. I'm setting this stuff free. So let us begin with 60 mind-blowing facts about music in 60 minutes, the 2024 edition. Item number 1. It's a weird Kanye story in a year that was filled with weird Kanye stories. He had a house in Malibu and wanted to remodel it, but he needed it turned into a bomb shelter for some reason. So Yi ordered a project manager to remove all the windows, all the electrical, and all the plumbing from this $57 million mansion so it would resemble a bomb shelter from World War I. The project manager was fired when he refused, saying that doing such a thing would be dangerous. Mind-blowing item number 2. I don't talk about Billy Joel in this program because he's from another realm of music. I did, however, learn this when comedian Richard Lewis died back in February. In the Billy Joel song My Life, he sings about an old friend who now gives them a stand-up routine in L.A. He's actually talking about Richard Lewis. And on the topic of Billy, I found out that he never sells front row seats to any of his shows. He keeps those rows empty and gifts them to people with nosebleed tickets. I like that. I don't talk about Dolly Parton either, but you have to admit that the woman is a treasure, which brings us to item number 3. We'll wrap this all up in one. She is only available by fax. Her production company funded the making of the Buffy the Vampire series. Turns out that she and star Sarah Michelle Gellar have the same birth date. And Dolly once entered a secret Dolly Parton lookalike contest and lost. Item number 4. Nikki Sixx of Motley Crue claimed that the band secretly negotiated with the U.S. State Department to travel to Baghdad during the Iraq War to play the Rolling Stones' Street Fighting Man for the troops. Never happened. Mind-blowing item number 5. After she broke up with Justin Bieber, Selena Gomez insisted that no one working on any of her crews be named Justin. Any Justins already employed by her people had to use another name for the duration of the gig. Item 6. British pop superstar Robbie Williams once took a tattoo artist named Otis on tour with him just so he could get some fresh ink whenever a thought struck him. And item number 7 is a bit of a weird one. When the Sex Pistols blew up in 1978, Richard Branson, then head of Virgin Records, had an idea. What if Johnny Rotten were to join Devo? Branson thought it would be cool if Johnny were accepted as the band's new frontman. This would be the angle he would use to bring Devo to a European audience. It never happened, of course, but what if it had?
When a problem comes along, you must whip it before the cream sets out too long. You must whip it when something's going wrong. You must whip it. Now whip it into shape it up, get straight.
Let's keep going with 60 mind-blowing facts about music in 60 minutes. Item number 8 is all about David Bowie. Now, Bowie fans know all about his role in the 1986 Labyrinth, where he plays the Goblin King. If you look at the credits for the film, you'll find a choreographer named Cheryl McFadden. That's actually Gates McFadden, better known as Dr. Crusher on Star Trek: The Next Generation. So yes, Dr. Crusher of Star Trek once taught dance moves to David Bowie. If you've been to Los Angeles, you've probably driven by the iconic Capitol Records building. If not, you've surely seen a picture. It's a 13-story circular building that looks like a stack of records. It's topped with a needle-like structure, and atop that is a flashing light. It has been blinking out Hollywood in Morse code since it opened in 1956. That's item number 9. Item number 10 has to do with the number of electric cars in Norway. Okay, you're confused. Norway has a lot of electric cars. In fact, the country has more EVs per capita than any other nation on Earth, with 90% of all cars sold in Norway being electric. Why? Because of the band a-ha. In 1983, Gro Brundtland, the former and future prime minister, got it into her head that Norway, a major oil exporter, needed to have a green future. Again, this is 1983. In 1989, she imported an electric Fiat Panda from Italy. The back seat was filled with batteries, which took 20 hours to charge, and even then, the car had a range of about 25 miles. She had a couple of friends, Morten Harket and Megs of the band a-ha. They were also very environmentally aware. Because the Fiat was non-polluting, they drove it everywhere, refusing to pay tolls, believing that such a vehicle should be exempt from tolls, taxes, parking fees, access to bus lanes, and more. They were fined again and again, and they did not pay. When the car was towed away, impounded, and sold at auction, they just bought it back. That happened 14 times. Eventually, a point was made with all this civil disobedience, and when Gro was re-elected prime minister in 1990, she made electrification of Norway's cars a priority. And here we are. It would not have happened without the help of AHA. Item number 11 also has to do with cars. The Prime Minister of Cambodia banned musical horns on cars and buses in that country. Why? Because in places like Phnom Penh, people kept causing traffic jams when they got out of their vehicles to dance to the musical horns on the cars and buses. Number 12, more international music news. Chechnya is a Russian republic that tends to play by its own rules. In April 2024, the government banned all music that was deemed to be too fast or too slow. By legal decree from the government, all music in Chechnya must fall within between 80 and 115 beats per minute. Why? To align the country with, and this is a quote from the Minister of Culture, to make sure that Chechen musical and dance creations align with the Chechen mentality and musical rhythm. You can imagine how that affected chill-out music, pop, rock, and techno. Item 13. When Kraftwerk, the most important electronic band of all time, was releasing records in the middle 1970s, they often used a toy drum machine that was branded with the Bee Gees logo. So, yes, a band that was on the bleeding edge of synth technology used a toy Bee Gees drum machine. For item number 14, we're going back to season 6, episode 19 of The Sopranos. Remember when AJ, Tony's son, broke into his high school with a bunch of friends? Well, one of those friends was a very young Lady Gaga. And mind-blowing fact about music number 15. There were many, many stories written in the months after Sinead O'Connor died in July 2023. In 2024, we learned that her nephew is the registrar of the Oxford University Tiddlywinks Society. Okay, we're a quarter of the way there. Mind-blowing fact about music number 16. Let's clear out a couple of things about Taylor Swift. This is material that was unavoidable. An insurance company conducted a survey to find out which city on the Eras Tour was where fans were most likely to have their car broken into. I can't remember exactly which city it was, but I think it was Seattle. Maybe you can check my work. And Tay-Tay is so big that there is huge money in being a Taylor Swift tribute act. One woman is making upwards of $18,000 per gig pretending to be Taylor Swift. Number 17, there's a Paul McCartney margarita. Sir Paul loves his margaritas and has invented his own. He calls it the Macarita. And whenever he plays live, the venue gets a rider requesting the exact ingredients. It's apparently fruitier than the traditional recipe, thanks to the Cointreau triple sec lime juice and a dash of orange juice. And even Liam Gallagher, who has sampled it, gives the Macarita a big thumbs up. Number 18, DJ Bella of Nigeria set a new world record for the longest DJ set in 2024. She spun for 250 hours, which is 11 days. Yes, she got regular breaks, but that's what the long remixes are for. Here's another weird one. Item 19. We heard the story of Good and Loud Music, a record store in Madison, Wisconsin. In September 1989, workers were in the basement removing a faulty boiler. Inside the pipe leading to the chimney, they found a human skeleton. They also found fragments of women's clothing and some jewelry. It took until May 2024 for the skeleton to be identified. A DNA test proved that the skeleton belonged to a man named Ronnie Joe Kirk, and we still have no idea how he ended up in the chimney of a record store leading to the boiler. And we don't know when that happened. And item number 20. The last I heard, the original drummer of the Vapors is now the deputy mayor of Guildford, England.
You got me turning up and turning down, I'm turning in, I'm turning right, I'm turning Japanese, I think I'm turning Japanese, I really think so. Turning Japanese, I think I'm turning Japanese, I really think so.
That's a pretty cool Where Are They Now story. When we come back, we will continue with this year's list of 60 mind-blowing things about music with a little fact about Billy Idol. This is the annual data dump known as 60 mind-blowing facts about music in 60 minutes. A little less if you're listening to the podcast version of the show. This is material I could not find any use for when compiling ongoing history shows over the past 12 months, but I can't bring myself to throw this stuff out. So these tidbits of information are my gifts to you. We resume our list with item number 21. Robert Plant of Led Zeppelin was so sick of hearing Stairway to Heaven that he paid a radio station in Oregon to stop playing it. This requires a little background. The station was a public broadcaster that existed on sponsorships and donations. On one donation drive, they were soliciting contributions of $10 and $15 in exchange for promising to never play Stairway to Heaven ever again. Plant just happened to be listening while driving down the coast, so he called up and made a pledge. Item 22. When Red Lobster was facing financial ruin earlier this year, Flavor Flav of Public Enemy, a huge fan of Red Lobster, launched a crusade to save the chain, and he's largely been successful. 23. This speaks to the environmental impact of streaming. Someone analyzed the amount of energy it took for 5 billion streams of the song Despacito by Luis Fonsi and Daddy Yankee. This study determined that 40,000 homes could have been heated for a year with the equivalent amount of electricity. Fact number 24. Joseph Williams is the son of John Williams, the famous composer of the scores for Star Wars and so many other iconic films. He's not only the lead singer of Toto, but he's also the voice of the adult Simba in The Lion King. Oh, and he's the singer in the Gummy Bears theme song, too. Item 25, and this is related. Long before he wrote all those movie things, John Williams wrote the original theme song to Gilligan's Island. Here it is, and it is not good.
In tropical sea is a tropic port. Vacation fun is the favorite sport. This is the place where the tourists flock, renting the boats at the busy dock. Two secretaries from USA sail on a Mino this lovely day.
I had no idea. John Williams, everyone. The man who wrote the theme for Jaws, Star Wars, Indiana Jones, Close Encounters, Superman, E.T., JFK, Jurassic Park, Schindler's List, and so many more, got his start by trying to write the theme song for Gilligan's Island. Moving to item number 26. Gary Kemp of Spandau Ballet was born with only one kidney. He later developed a condition that caused that single kidney to fail. His younger brother, also in Spandau Ballet, agreed to be a donor because he could spare one. It turned out that he was born with 3 kidneys. Handy coincidence, that. And fact number 27, Billy Idol was such a heroin addict in the early 1980s that he stole the master tapes to his Rebel Yell album and gave them to his dealer. He did this when he was fighting with his record label over what he saw was a flaw in the album artwork. So, in the middle of the night, he snuck into Electric Lady Studios in New York, stole the tapes, gave them to his dealer, and then called up his record company. This guy has the tapes for my record, and he will have bootlegs on the street within a week if you don't fix the artwork. Guess what? Billy got his way. I love crazy rock and roll stories like that. We need more people like Billy Idol today. Moving on to mind-blowing fact about music number 28. For decades, people have marveled at the physique of Roger Daltrey of The Who, but there is a crazy reason why he has such a flat stomach even today. When he was 4 years old, he swallowed a nail. Don't know why. It was 2 inches long, and the only way doctors could get it out was to cut him open. But back in those days, this would be about 1948, surgeons used a lot of talcum powder on their gloves. It was determined later that the talcum powder causes a lot of scar tissue. And if you look up pictures of a shirtless Roger Daltrey, you'll see the scars. And they are why his stomach has remained so flat. Number 29. Remember Big Mouth Billy Bass? It was that fake-mounted fish that, with the flick of a switch, turned to you and started singing a song. Well, one of the songs Big Mouth Billy Bass sang was Al Green's Take Me to the River. Of course. Green made more money from licensing the song to Big Mouth Billy Bass than he did from any other source. Item number 30 is something that I did not know about the Beatles. The song Ticket to Ride sounds like it should have something to do with public transport, right? Well, no. It's about a card carried by prostitutes in Hamburg to show that they have a clean bill of health and can therefore work. I have not been able to listen to that song the same way since. It's something from Metallica for fact number 31. They go through a lot of guitar picks. When they went on the road for their 72 Seasons tour, they packed enough guitar picks to give away 6,000 of them per night. 32. Fred Durst acts as both the lead singer and tour manager for Limp Bizkit. You can tell which role he's in by the hat he's wearing. If the hat is red, he's in singer mode. If it's black, he's working as the tour manager. Number 33 is pretty weird. After her son died by suicide, Lisa Marie Presley kept his dead body in her house for 2 months. Oh, he was embalmed by a funeral home, but she just couldn't bear to have him interred. So she kept the body around the house in his bedroom, which was kept at a steady 12 degrees to keep it fresh. Well, fresh-ish. I'm going to throw this in for number 34. Sam Singh Bode is from India. The Guinness Book of World Records granted him the title of the man who owns the most radios. At last count, he has 1,257 of them. Guinness will give a record to anyone, I guess. And let's throw in some Oasis stuff for item number 35. There are a lot of preparations for their 2025 reunion tour, and that includes lining up merchandise to sell. The group applied for all kinds of trademarks covering not only t-shirts and hoodies and the standard stuff, but deodorant, dental floss, and ironing board covers. Meanwhile, Oasis fans are already burying drugs at the site of next year's reunion show in Manchester. Oh, and how much money does Noel Gallagher make? Well, let's put it this way. He makes £1,756, which is about 3,200 Canadian dollars per day, just from plays of this song.
Because maybe you're gonna be the one that saves me. And after all, you're my wonder wall.
Continuing with mind-blowing fact number 36. At the time of his death, Taylor Hawkins of the Foo Fighters was working on a James Bond theme with Luke Spiller of the band The Struts. They didn't get the gig, obviously, because, well, the job went to Billie Eilish. 37. Spotify debuted a new playlist in 2024 called Hardcore Gardening. Its curator claims that plants grow best if you play them hardcore punk. Yes, hardcore punk is better than playing your plants classical or pop music. Item number 38. In the late 1990s, Michael Jackson tried to buy Marvel Comics. Why? He wanted to star as Spider-Man in his own movie, and the only way he could do that was by buying the entire franchise. Number 39. Everyone knows Chevy Chase from SNL and his various acting roles, but decades before that, he was a drummer in a band that would eventually morph into Steely Dan. And item number 40 is rather circuitous, but it's worth it. When Robert De Niro was filming Taxi Driver in 1976, he had a night off and decided to go see Bruce Springsteen. During the show, Springsteen turned his back to the audience between songs and waited for the noise and the applause and the yelling to swell. When things reached a crescendo, he turned around and said, "Are you talking to me?" De Niro loved this. When he appeared on the set the next day, he had to shoot the scene where his character, Travis Bickle, was getting ready to carry out his plans. Remembering Springsteen from the night before, he improvised, repeatedly asking his reflection in the mirror, "Are you talking to me?" Director Martin Scorsese loved it and used it for the film. Oh, and I'm not done. Joe Strummer saw De Niro in Taxi Driver and loved him. He thought it was really cool how Travis Bickle gave himself a mohawk haircut. So Joe adapted the look for himself and The Clash. And that is how the mohawk became ingrained in punk culture.
The ice age is coming, the sun's zooming in. Meltdown expected, the wheat is going thin. Engines stop running, but I have no fear, 'cause London is drowning. I live by the river.
Those are 40 mind-blowing facts about music. 20 to go, and they're all coming up next. Here's what I have for the last 20 mind-blowing facts about music that we're covering over these 60 minutes. We're up to number 41. Eric Stefani, brother of Gwen, was a keyboardist and no doubt, but he quit before the band really took off. Why? To become an animator with The Simpsons. He did play some parts on Tragic Kingdom before he left. Related to that is this tidbit about Tunde Adebimpe of the band TV on the Radio. He also worked as an animator for The Simpsons. He's such a good artist that David Bowie collected some of his works. Number 42. In 1992, the Grateful Dead sponsored the Lithuanian men's Olympic basketball team, who were struggling financially after the country was freed by the fall of the Soviet Union. It worked, and the team ended up beating Russia for the bronze medal. Check out item number 33. Warren Cucurullo was a one-time member of Duran Duran. He was fired from the band in 2001 and went on to do gay porn. He also sold his own dildo called the Rock Rod. Item number 44 is related. The word dildo has its roots, and I'm not making this up, I swear to God, in classical music. It rose in England back in the 16th century as a filler word, a placeholder in songs. It was the la 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 of its day. If you dig into compositions of the era, you will find some tunes written for the lute and countertenor that use the word a lot. Dildo is a classical music term. Item number 45. Jimi Hendrix wrote the song The Wind Cries Mary when he felt bad getting into a fight with his girlfriend when she served him some lumpy mashed potatoes. And I find item number 46 deliciously ironic. All three members of the Fine Young Cannibals are vegetarians. Let's pick things up with item number 47. Keith Richards didn't plan to be one of the most famous guitarists in rock history. When he was young, he had dreams of being a librarian. That didn't work out, of course. But today, he has very extensive and very carefully curated book collections in all his homes. If you like fish, you'll appreciate this. Number 48, Ian Anderson, frontman for Jethro Tull, has made quite a bit of money from some early investments in salmon fish farms. Let's go back to drugs for a second. Item number 49 involves a common problem. People smuggling drugs into music festivals. Marshall Maddock and Harry Hewitson thought they had things all figured out. They tried to smuggle some ketamine into the Creamsfield Music Festival this past summer by concealing bags of the drug in Kinder eggs that they then stuffed up their nether regions. How were their plans uncovered? You're wise to ask that question. Credit goes to specially trained sniffer dogs. They sniffed out a small quantity of drugs elsewhere on them. When Maddock and Hewitson refused to be searched further, they were taken into custody. And that's when an intimate search was conducted. Each man was found to have Kinder eggs stuffed up their bums, each containing 10 packets of ketamine. Each man was sentenced to 18 months in prison. Speaking of body parts, we have Elton John at item number 50. He's had both knees replaced, and he's had one of these kneecaps fashioned into a necklace that he often wears around his neck for special occasions. Number 51, Mel Shacker, the bass player for Grand Funk Railroad, used to drive his amp so hard during shows that a roadie sat on a stool behind the amp and replaced tubes mid-song as they blew out. Just one tube after another, after another, after another. Number 52, if you're looking for something new in higher education, Vermont University is offering a course in Weird Al Yankovic. It's called Weird Al and His Polkas and was inspired by Harvard's offering of a course on Taylor Swift. And if you're a Doctor Who fan, you might be interested in item number 53. The 12th Doctor, Peter Capaldi, was in a punk band back in his day, and they were called the Dreamboats. Also in the band was comedian Craig Ferguson, and they sounded like this.
Outside limits such as never wanted to go. What she collected in blasters that was all of her and not mine. Because she spent all over me.
Okay, we're into the home stretch. This is mind-blowing item number 54. I used to think that Black Sabbath was unique because their first album, entitled Black Sabbath, also contained a song called Black Sabbath. So they win the trifecta, right? Well, no. There's a French metal musician named Brouillard. His band is called Brouillard, and I know of 6 albums from him, or they maybe, and they're all called Brouillard. And every single song on all 6 albums is called Brouillard. So, okay, you win. 55. This fall, a revival of an opera written in the 1920s freaked out people in Germany. This production of Sancta Susanna featured naked nuns on roller skates, live piercing, unsimulated sex, a performer who has a piece of flesh cut off and fried on a stove, and a dwarf dressed as the Pope spun around by some robotic arm contraption. Naturally, all performances sold out. Item number 56. People with too much money will buy anything. If you need more proof, check out the Raver wristband sold by Balenciaga. It's a fake, faux distressed festival wristband made of polyester. It's indistinguishable from anything you might buy from a cheap and cheerful fashion store or some hippie on the street for a couple of bucks. This thing sells for $5,300 Canadian. And if you want one made with metallic thread holding together the polyester, it's $6,800. And since we're on the topic of merch, this is item number 57. A Toronto fan tried to sell a bag of air collected from the same room where Beyoncé appeared at an award show in Los Angeles. I have no idea if anyone bought it. 2024 was the year I heard of Matt Farley, the writer of more than 25,000 songs. His shtick is that every one of these songs, 25,000 of them, are about poops and farts. He might be the world's most prolific songwriter, and he writes about poops and farts. Can we maybe get a sample of item number 58, please?
Oh, poop, 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 poop.
All of Farley's stuff is posted on Spotify, and each runs about a minute. And yes, he does qualify for streaming royalties. Is he a con man or a genius? Listen, if you have young kids, you know how much they like this stuff. But I would be very careful about introducing them to Matt Farley for obvious reasons. Item number 59. There is a roaming gang of grannies in South Korea. They are rappers. They're from Chilgok County in northern Gyeongsang province. They call themselves Suni and the Seven Princesses. They wander the area rapping about things like picking chilies and watermelons. And can we have a sample of them, please?
우리가 빠지면 랩이 아니지. 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 요요요.
And if you're still with me after that, here is how we will end. Mind-blowing fact about music number 60. You probably have your own opinion about the worst song in the world, but such judgments are very, very subjective. But what if all the resources of science were marshaled to deliberately manufacture a song designed to be the worst in the world? 3 scientists, Vitaly Komar, Alex Milamid, and David Soldier, gathered as much data as they possibly could about bad songs, and then used that information and artificial intelligence to engineer something as awful as possible. they discovered that certain musical elements really turn people off. That includes cowboy lyrics, howls of bagpipes, synths playing bossa nova beats, a terrible children's choir, some nonsensical spoken word, a man yelling through a bullhorn, and more. When their creation was finished, they concluded that only about 200 of the 8 billion people on this planet would find their composition pleasurable. It runs about 20 minutes, but I won't subject you to that. This, ladies and gentlemen, according to science, is the worst song in the world. Okay, that's enough. Stop it. That's like oral waterboarding. And that brings us to the end of this year's edition of 60 mind-blowing things about music in 60 minutes. I have already started creating a list for 2025. And if you missed any of the other shows like this, I started doing these programs in 2017. You can go back and listen to any of them as podcasts, and they're available in all the usual places. Find me also on the social media platforms, all of them, pretty much. If you want to complain about anything you heard, frankly, I would not blame you. You can also yell at me through email, if that's better. I'm at alan@allencross.ca. There's my website, ajournalofmusicalthings.com. It comes with a free daily newsletter, so you never lose track of what's going on. And don't forget my other podcast, Uncharted, Crime and Mayhem in the Music Industry. If you want a little true crime to go with your music, then that's exactly what you're looking for. Thanks for helping me purge my office and files for another year. Technical productions by Rob Johnston. I'm Alan Cross.